AITA for exposing my girlfriend's lie in front of her family after she humiliated me? Her name is Lena. She was 26 when I met her, confident, magnetic, the kind of woman who walked into a room and seemed to change the temperature. I was 28, a software engineer who still double-checked every text before hitting send. We met through friends at a game night I didn't even want to attend. I'd been the quiet one in the corner until she sat next to me, made a joke about how competitive she was. For the first few months, we were a movie montage, weekend trips, late-night calls, the giddy disbelief that someone like her wanted me. She had this habit of brushing her hair behind her ear whenever she laughed, and I swear I catch myself doing it too, like some ridiculous mirror. She worked in marketing, always surrounded by people, always on. I liked that about her. Her fire balanced my calm. But somewhere between year 1 and 2, that balance started to shift. It started small. She'd tease me in front of friends. "Oh, don't ask him to pick a restaurant. He'll Google for an hour before deciding." Or, "Yeah, he's a responsible one. It's kind of cute." It was cute at first, until it wasn't. Then came the corrections. The way she'd interrupt me when I was telling a story. "Babe, that's not how it happened." "Wait, no, you're remembering wrong. You're exaggerating. It wasn't that bad." It was like my memories became negotiable. The first real fight happened after her promotion party. Her friends threw a rooftop celebration. I was proud, genuinely proud. I'd even made a little toast about how hard she worked for it. Everyone clapped. She smiled, kissed me, and whispered, "You're adorable." Then, when people drifted off, she told me I made it about myself. "It was my night," she said, her voice soft but sharp. "You talked about how I inspired you to work harder. That's weird, Mark. Can't you just let me have a win without tying it back to you?" It wasn't what I meant, not even close. But I apologized anyway. That was easier than arguing. She hugged me. "You're sweet. Just think next time, okay?" I nodded. I always nodded. Months later, I was sitting on her couch while she scrolled through Instagram, laughing at a comment from a guy named Adrian. She'd mentioned him before, a friend from work. Apparently, they had this easy banner, inside jokes that I wasn't part of. When I asked, she rolled her eyes. "You're not jealous of Adrian, are you? Come on. He's like work husband energy. Totally harmless." I said I wasn't jealous, but something in my chest tightened. That night, I checked her profile, not to snoop, just understand. There he was, liking every photo, commenting with things like "Boss Queen" and "When are we grabbing drinks again?" I didn't say anything then. I told myself I trusted her. By year 3, I'd met her family a few times, her parents, her older sister Maya, her younger brother Eli. They were warm, loud, teasing in that affectionate way families can be. But Lena had a complicated relationship with them, especially with Maya. Maya was a golden child, lawyer, married, stable. Lena once told me, "My parents think she walks on water. Meanwhile, I'm the screw-up with too many ideas and not enough patience." I told her that wasn't true. She smiled, kissed me, said, "That's why I love you. You always believe in me." But I could feel that rivalry simmering beneath everything she said. So when her parents invited us to Eli's graduation dinner, I didn't hesitate. I thought it would be good for us. A normal night. A break from the tension that had started creeping in between us. That night, I wore a button-down she said made me look respectable. Her parents' house was warm and bright. Laughter spilling from the kitchen as we arrived. Everything felt almost normal, until it didn't. Dinner started fine. Her dad asked about my job. Her mom asked about Lena's new project. Then Maya joined in, joking about how Lena's finally learning to show up on time. Everyone laughed, including me. Lena didn't. Instead, she looked at me and said, "Speaking of showing up late, tell him what happened last week, babe." I froze. "What do you mean?" "Oh, you know," she said, with that sugary tone that meant she wasn't being sweet at all. "When you forgot our reservation because you were too busy play your game or whatever." Everyone chuckled politely. I tried to smile, but my stomach twisted. "I didn't forget," I said carefully. "You told me the wrong time." Her eyes flickered, that tiny spark of defiance I come to know too well. "Oh, sure, blame me." Classic. The table went quiet. I tried to laugh it off. "I'm not blaming." But she cut me off. "You always do this. It's like you can't just own a mistake without making me the bad guy." Her dad cleared his throat. Maya sipped her wine, eyes darting between us like she was watching a tennis match. I wanted to disappear. When we got home, she said I embarrassed her. "You couldn't just let it go," she said, pacing. "You had to correct me, in front of my parents. Do you know how that made me look?" "Like you lied," I said quietly. Her face changed, shocked and anger. "Wow. So that's what this is? You think I'm some manipulative liar?" "I think you twist things when it suits you." That was the first time I ever said something like that to her. I remember how still she went, the silence that followed, the storm brewing in her eyes. She didn't yell. She just said, "If that's how you see me, maybe you shouldn't be with me." Then she walked into the bedroom, shut the door, and locked it. We didn't talk for 2 days. Then she sent me a text. "Dinner with my family again this weekend. Please don't make things awkward." No apology, no acknowledgement, just a performance to prepare for. I should have said no. I should have ended it then. But I didn't, because I still loved her. Because I thought, maybe, if I just played along, things would settle. That weekend, the dinner that changed everything began like any other. Polite smiles, half-truths, laughter that didn't reach my eyes. Lena was charming, radiant, effortless. Everyone adored her. And for a while, I did too, until she decided to tell another story. One that wasn't true. And this time, it was about me. Update. The following Saturday, I rehearsed my silence like an actor learning lines. Smile, nod, compliment her mom's cooking. Don't bring up the past. When I arrived at Lena's parents' house, she was already there, looking perfect, navy dress, hair pinned back, that practice warmth she wore like armor. She greeted me with a hug that felt like a handshake. "Hey," she said. I scanned my face. "Let's just have a nice evening, okay?" Her tone wasn't pleading. It was a warning. I nodded. Of course. The air between us was brittle, but I still wanted to believe we could hold it together. I still thought love could survive on restraint alone. Dinner started light. Her mom's lasagna, wine, small talk about Eli's new job. I caught myself watching Lena more than listening. She laughed easily, leaned forward when she talked, made everyone feel like they were part of her story. I used to admire that. Now, I wasn't sure where the real her ended and the performance began. Then, halfway through the meal, Maya brought up relationships. "It's wild how people change once they move in together," Maya said, glancing at her husband. "You start seeing the real habits." Her mom chuckled. "That's why you have to be patient. Compromise is everything." Lena smiled, that slow, deliberate smile that always meant she was about to turn the spotlight on someone. "Oh, Mark and I know all about that," she said, eyes glinting. "Right, babe?" Everyone turned toward me. I forced a smile. "I guess we learned a few things." But she wasn't finished. "Like that time you forgot to pick me up from the airport," she said, laughing. "I was stranded there for hours. I swear he's so sweet, but his head's always in the clouds." The table erupted in light laughter. My face went hot. That never happened. I'd picked her up that night, waited 30 minutes because she was late. She'd even apologized then, called me the most patient man alive. I looked at her, hoping it was just a joke, that she'd wink or let it slide. But she didn't even look at me. She kept going. He called me from the parking lot like, "Babe, I thought you said tomorrow," she said, mimicking my voice. It's kind of adorable, though. I couldn't speak. I felt something rise in my throat. Anger, disbelief, maybe heartbreak. Her family was laughing, oblivious, and Lena looked proud of herself. When the laughter died down, I said quietly, "That's not how it happened." She froze for a second, just a flicker, then smiled wider. "Oh, come on. Don't be so serious. It's a story, babe." "No," I said, my voice firmer now. "You're telling them something that isn't true." The room went still. Her dad frowned. Everything okay? Lena's cheeks flushed. She gave a little laugh that sounded more like a threat. He's just sensitive. You know how engineers are. Details, details. I turned to her, trying to keep my voice calm. Lena, I picked you up that night. You were late. You even said thank you. Maya raised an eyebrow. Her mother shifted uncomfortably. Lena's hand tightened on her wine glass. Why are you doing this? She hissed. Doing what? I said, making me look bad. I blinked. You made me sound like an idiot in front of your family. Her jaw clenched. Because it's funny, Mark. It's called a sense of humor. Lying isn't humor. The table fell silent again. You could hear the clock ticking in the hall. Her dad tried to lighten the mood. Well, every couple has their misunderstandings. But Lena wasn't done. Her face hardened. Oh, he's perfect, right? He never forgets anything, never messes up. God forbid I make a joke. I didn't say I was perfect. I said, my voice shaking now. I just don't understand why you need to make things up to get attention. The words came out before I could stop them. Her eyes widened. For a second, she looked like I'd hit her. Then she laughed, loud, brittle, wrong. Wow. Okay, you know what? If you have a problem with me, maybe say it before dinner next time. I didn't have a problem until you lied. I said. The word lied echoed in the room. Maya set down her fork. Lena, maybe you... But Lena cut her off, her voice trembling now. Don't. You always take a side. Her father's tone sharpened. Enough, Lena. But she was unraveling. You all love him, don't you? Because he's polite and quiet and makes you feel like I'm the crazy one. Lena, I started, but she slammed her hand on the table. Don't Lena me. You want to humiliate me? Congratulations, you did. The silence that followed was deafening. Her mother whispered, Sweetheart. But Lena was already standing. Excuse me, she said, voice shaking. I need air. She walked out the back door, the screen slamming behind her. Everyone stared at me. I could feel the blood pounding in my ears. I didn't mean to. I started. Her mom sighed. She's been under a lot of stress. Maya said quietly, That story wasn't true, was it? I shook my head. No. Her dad rubbed his temples. Maybe just give her some space. So I did. I stepped out onto the porch, where the night air felt heavy and cold. Lena was sitting on the steps, shoulders shaking. When she heard me, she wiped her eyes fast, like she couldn't stand being seen vulnerable. You couldn't just let me have one night, she whispered. I sat beside her, keeping a small distance. You turned me into a joke. It was harmless, she snapped. You're always so rigid. I can't even breathe without you fact-checking me. That's not fair. She laughed bitterly. Fair? You embarrassed me in front of my family, Mark. I felt something break then, something small, but final. I didn't embarrass you, Lena. The truth did. She turned to me slowly. Her eyes were dry now, cold. You think you're better than me, don't you? No, I said softly. I think I'm tired. We drove home in silence. The city lights passed like ghosts through the window. I thought about saying something, an apology, a truce, but the words wouldn't come. When we got to her apartment, she walked ahead without looking back. You should probably go, she said, before I say something I regret. So I left. That night, I lay awake replaying everything. The laughter, the lie, the way her face twisted when I called it out. Was I the asshole? Maybe I could have waited. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything in front of her family. But if I hadn't, would anyone ever see what she was doing? Would she? I thought about all the little corrections, the subtle digs, the times she made me doubt myself. Maybe this was just one more test, and I'd finally failed to write one. The next morning, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Maya. You didn't do anything wrong, but you need to decide what you're still fighting for. I stared at that message for a long time, because for the first time in 3 years, I didn't know the answer. Update. Silence used to mean peace. With Lena, it meant danger. A quiet room was where her anger lived, not in shouting or slammed doors, but in the subtle punishments that came after. The size, the deliberate distance, the way she'd make coffee for herself, but not for me. The morning after the dinner, I walked through her apartment like a stranger, brushing past the echo of what used to feel like home. Her perfume hung in the air, faint and sharp, like memory refusing to fade. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, pretending not to notice me. I wanted to speak, to bridge the space with an apology I didn't mean, but something in me stopped. I realized I'd said sorry too many times in this relationship. Sorry for being quiet. Sorry for disagreeing. Sorry for catching her in lies. Sorry for feeling hurt. Every apology was a brick in the wall that separated me from myself. So this time I said nothing. Around noon, she finally broke the silence. "You really embarrassed me last night," she said flatly. Her tone wasn't angry. It was cold, controlled, the kind of calm that scares you more than yelling ever could. "I told the truth," I said. "You always think that makes you right." I didn't want to fight. I just couldn't sit there while you made up stories about me. She looked up then, eyes sharp. "God, you're so self-righteous sometimes. Do you even hear yourself?" "I hear you," I said quietly, "but I don't think you hear me." She laughed, a short, humorless sound. "Oh, don't start with that therapy talk." That stung. I'd started seeing a therapist a few months earlier, quietly, secretly, because I couldn't figure out why I felt so small in a relationship that was supposed to make me feel safe. Lena had found out accidentally when she saw a text reminder on my phone. Her reaction hadn't been supportive. "Therapy," she'd said. "So what? You're diagnosing me now." "No," I'd said back then. "I'm just trying to understand myself." "Well, maybe try harder," she'd muttered. That was months ago, but the echo of it lived in every conversation since. Now, watching her twist on the couch, crossing her legs, flipping through her phone, I realized something simple and devastating. I didn't feel safe around her anymore. Not physically, she'd never hurt me. But emotionally, it was like walking barefoot through broken glass. You didn't bleed right away, but you knew the cuts were coming. That afternoon, I went home. I didn't say I was leaving for good, but I took a few things, my laptop, a change of clothes, a toothbrush. She didn't stop me. She just said, "Fine, go sulk somewhere else." I think she thought I'd be back by nightfall. For a while, I thought so too. For the next few days, I stayed in my apartment, drifting through work calls and takeout meals. My therapist, Naomi, noticed exhaustion in my voice before I even said anything. "You sound like someone who's finally stopped pretending," she said gently. I told her about the dinner, about the lie, about the way Lena made me feel small in front of her family. Naomi listened, then said, "Mark, how many times in this relationship have you been made to question your own memory, your own version of events?" I thought about it. "Too many. That's called erosion," she said. "Not of love, of self. When you stop trusting your own experiences, your sense of self-respect begins to disappear." Her words hit harder than I expected. I'd always told myself love was about compromise, about being patient, about giving the other person grace. But maybe what I'd really been doing was shrinking, carving pieces off myself to fit inside her world. That night, I sat in my living room surrounded by the quiet hum of the city. I thought about all the times I'd let things slide. When she called me boring in front of friends. When she mocked my job for being safe. When she flirted with Adrian in front of me and said I was being insecure. When she lied and made me feel crazy for noticing. Each time, I told myself love meant forgiveness. But now, it felt more like self-abandonment. A few days later, she texted, "Lena, are you done sulking? Lena, we need to talk like adults." I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the reply box. I didn't want to fight anymore, but I also didn't want to be erased. Me, "Okay, tomorrow evening." Lena, "Fine, come over. Don't make it dramatic." That last line, "Don't make it dramatic," stuck in my head all day. She always said that before she turned something into a drama. When I showed up at her place, she looked like she'd spent hours preparing for confrontation. Perfect hair, casual outfit, calm expression. I realized she was performing even now. You look better, she said. Less moody. I just needed space. She smirked. Space to do what? Practice your speeches. I ignored that. I think we've been stuck in a loop, Lena. You hurt me. I swallow it. We pretend it's fine. I don't want to live like that. Her face flickered. Surprise, then amusement. Oh, so now you're the victim? I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying I've lost a lot of myself trying to make this work. You're being dramatic. There it is, I said quietly. What? The thing you do when I tell you how I feel. You mock it. You twist it. You make me question whether I'm being too much. Her eyes narrowed. You sound like your therapist. Maybe I should have sounded like her sooner. She crossed her arms. So what, you're breaking up with me? I didn't answer right away. The silence stretched between us like a bridge I wasn't sure I could cross. Then I said it. The truth that had been sitting in my chest for months. I think I've been losing respect for myself by staying. That hit harder than any insult could. Lena blinked, her confidence cracking. Wow, she said softly. So I'm the bad guy now? No, but you make me feel like one every time I stand up for myself. You're just sensitive. I laughed, tired and broken. That word again. You use it like a weapon. Her jaw tightened. You're twisting everything. Maybe, I said, or maybe I'm just finally seeing it clearly. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She just stood there, arms folded, breathing hard. You'll come back, she said finally. You always do. I used to, I said, but I don't think I know how anymore. I left before she could answer. Driving home, I felt strange, not relieved, not sad, but hollow, like a wound still open. Yet beneath that emptiness, there was something small and steady. Peace. The kind of peace that comes when you stop arguing with yourself. I didn't know if it was permanent. I didn't know if I'd stay gone. But for the first time in years, I felt like I belonged to myself again. That night, I didn't check my phone. I didn't replay the fight. I just sat in the quiet and listened to my heartbeat. It didn't sound like guilt anymore. It sounded like freedom. Update. The first few days after leaving Lena felt like walking through fog. Everything was quieter, the kind of quiet that doesn't comfort, but hums with leftover tension. I woke up expecting her voice, her footsteps, the hum of her blow dryer, the scent of her shampoo. But the silence that replaced it wasn't empty, it was cleansing. I realized how much of my life had been spent waiting for her reactions. Every text I sent, every story I told, every joke I made, it all ran through the same internal filter. Will this upset her? Will she twist it? Will I pay for it later? Now, for the first time, I didn't have to think like that. It was strange how peace could feel so foreign that it almost frightened me. 3 days after the breakup, Lena called. I didn't answer. She called again the next day. And the next. By day 5, I got a message that simply said, "We need to talk in person." I deserve that much. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part, the old version of me, still needed closure, or maybe just the illusion of it. So I agreed. I got to the cafe early, nerves jangling. When Lena finally showed up, she wore that same smug expression, like she was about to win a battle she'd already fought 1,000 times. "You look different," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Rested. I replied coolly, though my stomach churned. She smirked. "So this is really it? You're serious about throwing it all away?" I leaned forward, voice low but steady. "Yeah, Lena, I'm serious. I'm done." She scoffed. "You're overreacting. This is just one fight." "One fight?" I snapped, heat rising. "You've been gaslighting me, mocking me, and belittling me for years. This isn't one fight. It's every fight, every insult, every lie you ever told me." Her eyes narrowed. "I don't know what you want from me, Mark. You sound like your therapist. All high and mighty. Oh, I'm high and mighty now," I said, my voice cracking with something I've been holding back for too long. "Maybe that's because for years I swallowed your shit. I let you stomp all over me, make me feel like I was crazy. I let you make me small, insignificant, like I didn't matter. And I was too afraid to say anything because you'd snap, get angry, make me feel guilty for being dramatic. Well, guess what? I'm done pretending. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. Don't. Don't you dare try to twist this around and make me the bad guy. I am sick and tired of walking on eggshells, of feeling like I'm never enough. You can't treat me like crap and then act like I'm the one who's broken. Her face went pale, lips pressed into a thin line. The air between us crackled with tension. I'm not your enemy, Lena. I never was. But I refuse to be your punching bag anymore. So here's the deal. Don't contact me again. Don't try to guilt me. Don't act like we can just pick up where we left off. Because I'm gone. And if you ever reach out again, I'm blocking you. For good. She blinked, stunned. You're serious? Dead serious, I said. I'm done being your doormat. I'm done losing myself. I grabbed my coat and stood up. The cafe felt suddenly too small, too suffocating. She stayed seated, eyes wide, mouth slightly open like she couldn't believe the storm she'd unleashed. I didn't look back. I walked out, breathing the freedom I hadn't realized I'd been starving for. Months passed. I started sleeping better, eating better, smiling without effort. Therapy turned from crisis management into reflection. One session, Naomi asked, if you could say one thing to her now, what would it be? I thought for a long time before answering. I'd thank her, I said, not for what she did, but for showing me the line between love and submission. Naomi smiled. That's the kind of closure most people never find. Maybe, but closure wasn't what I'd been looking for. What I really wanted was self-respect. The thing I'd traded away one compromise at a time. And now I finally had it back. A few months later, I ran into Lena by chance, at a bookstore of all places. She was with a friend, laughing, radiant as ever. When she saw me, her expression flickered between surprise and calculation. "Mark," she said, approaching with that same confident smile. "It's been a while." "It has." "You look good," she said. "Thanks." There was a pause. 1,000 unspoken things sat between us. I was harsh before she said finally, "You didn't deserve that." I nodded. "I know." She blinked at my calm. Maybe she expected me to comfort her, to say it was okay, that we both made mistakes. But I'd done that for years. So I just said, "I hope you're doing better." She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Yeah, I'm trying." "Good," I said. "We both are." And that was it. No grand gesture. No rekindling. Just two people standing in the ruins of what once was, finally realizing some things are meant to end. When I left the store, I walked into the late afternoon sunlight. The world felt wider than it had in a long time. Like the air itself was lighter, cleaner. For years, I thought love meant endurance. That staying through the hurt made me strong. But I learned that real strength is knowing when to stop fighting for someone who keeps wounding you, even if they call it love. It's knowing that self-respect isn't selfish. It's sacred. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't to hold on. It's to finally let go.